have created for our clients. So I'm going to create Cisco and continue. And now we're on the dashboard specific to that event that I just created. So as you can see, Cisco Pigeonhole Test, I just created that. Now we are on this agenda screen. If you ever need to go back and edit the event info you just populated, you can do that in this event info tab, and everything is in here. You can update that. Otherwise, we move on to the agenda. Now, the agenda is really important. This is where we enter the exact sessions that our moderators will be working in. So to start, I'll just create a new session. We're going to focus on Q&A. We'll do some other videos with some of this other stuff later, but Q&A for now. Cisco test day 1. Now, this is where this session is specifically for day 1. So I'm going to set it to the 23rd. As you can see, it gives us the options of spreading it out through the 26th. What I'm going to do is create one for the 23rd, make sure I select the right time, which is 9 a.m. Pacific time. Also note that the time is specific to the time zone you selected in the beginning. So if you selected Singapore time, this must be set exactly to the start time in Singapore or London or the Pacific. So in this case, it's a 9 a.m. Pacific time start with an 10:30 finish. Down here, we have to do some changes. This must be changed to question filtering. Comments must be changed to answers, and this must be unchecked. So these are the 3 checks that we keep for this setting. The last setting that we need to edit specifically on this agenda sessions page is the display questions by dropdown. It defaults to top voted, but we want it to be latest. Then we click add Q&A. Now, really important. So we just added our first session by clicking on this dropdown. This is where we can get our session ID. So there's 3 key pieces of information that we need from Pigeonhole. It's the passcode, which we can get in here, very important. The session ID, which we get in our agenda with the dropdown, session ID. And I'll show you how to get the moderator URL in a little bit. But I also want to show you how, so I created Cisco test day 1. What I'm able to do is duplicate day 1. So again, Q&A. Now I can change this to day 2, change the date appropriately, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Make sure these are the same. Questions filtering, answers, attendees can view, Q&A, add Q&A. And just like that, you can see I created 2 sessions for this one event already. So when our moderators are logging in, they use the same passcode and the same moderator URL. So again, I would do this for the 25th and 26th. I'm going to leave it there for now. Really important to add our speakers, and in this case, it's really easy. So we're in our agenda, we're clicking speakers, we're adding from template, and we're creating Cisco, add speaker. And that is going to be all there is to it moving forward. After setting up your varying sessions in the agenda tab on the left, then we'll click on the more settings tab to continue setting this up. Now in the more settings section, this is where we can change the branding. If it's a VEH event, we select VEH. If it's a Cisco.com event, Cisco.com or Cisco. Clicking save. Then we scroll down to our language settings. And this is where we can set the default language for the event. If it's English, the auto detect is okay to keep. We can keep that or select English. If it's any other event, which they're all listed here, then you will need to select the right event for the right language for this event. Select the language, or if it's again English, again, you can keep it on auto detect. Now, after that, we will scroll up and then click the attendees tab up here, which now takes us to the form that they fill out when registering to use Pigeonhole. This is for our audience. This is the form the audience fills out. We will edit this form to reflect a few things. We want to collect their name, their email address, their company. We don't do industry. We don't do position. And we also want to add one more field. So I'm going to add a field by clicking here. In this case, it's going to be a custom field. So I'll click here. This leaves the dialog box open for us to be able to copy and paste the necessary text. And in this text, what it's going to say is, in the event we are unable to answer your question during the event, may we follow up with you by email? And it's a multiple choice question. It's either yes or no. And this is a required field for all of our events. And I'll click add. I also want to edit the fact that email is optional. That is going to be required. So I'm going to click edit, make it required. Update. So name, always required. Email, always required. Company, necessary custom fields and have the languages properly reflected. So if it's in Spanish, obviously this would say nombre, email, whatever the proper translation is for email, company, etc. So in order to add custom languages, we have to use the custom field option. All of these default to English, so we can't use those. And in order to find the proper translations, see the Pigeonhole translations notes in our OneNote platforms section. After all that is done, like you already saw, I click save, and now I am able to move on. We don't use integrations and we don't really use security, so we're done with our more settings section. All right, so we already went through more settings. Now we're going to run your event. And this is where, so I scroll down to manage access with event collaborators, admin panel, workspace members only. Yes, restrict access. So this is basically saying they need a CEC ID to log in, restrict access. And now this is our moderator URL. So again, I'll copy this and I'll paste this in our OneNote, share it with our moderator so that they can gain access. So again, 3 pieces of information. Admin panel, where you get the moderator URL, you copy that. Our agenda, where you get a session ID per day. So as you can see, we have different session IDs each day, but that's where you get the session ID. And then again, your passcode, the 3 pieces of information that you need from Pigeonhole in order to say you completely created it and have it all set up. Now that you're done on the Pigeonhole side of setting up the event or the Q&A, now we go to this Pigeonhole event tracker. We scroll until we get to the proper chronological date range that we're working with. And in here, you add a line where your event will properly fit. So this was just above February 3rd. So we'll go right here, insert one above. We are requesting. a.m. Pacific time. It's in English. $400 is the default. If there are multiple days, we will add another event, another line, and then instead of 3-3, this will now be 3-4. Copy all that. Again, all of this stays the same. The only difference is instead of 400, now it's 100. It's $100 per each additional day. The branding must match the branding that we set it up in Pigeonhole. So in this case, we set it up at cisco.com. Requested by, so this is the client name. In this case, we'll say Amanda Cartier requested it. But in whatever it is, it's your client's name. Expected viewers on your client call, you ask how many viewers do we anticipate. If it's above 5,000, then we must adjust our pricing because Pigeonhole has certain limitations. And once we get above 5,000, we have to request more bandwidth essentially. So in this case, it was only 1,000 and 1,000. Now, this is where those pieces of information come in. So the first column that we need to fill in here is our passcode. Okay, so we must go back to our Pigeonhole. And this is where we can copy our passcode. And the passcode for multi-day events is the same passcode for multiple day events. Where it does differ is with the session IDs will differ every day. So day 2, so day 1's session ID, I'll copy that. Paste it into day 1. Now we'll go to day 2. Copy that. And now we're in day 2. Okay, so we have pasted our passcode. Again, whether it's 1 day or 2 days, the passcode will stay the same. The session ID will be different every single day. And now we must set up the moderator URL. So we go back in here, run your event, manage access.